Fantasy of one day walking out of that famous tunnel onto the neatly manicured green bays of Wembley. And today that fantasy is about to become reality for these second division footballers. These are moments that they'll treasure for the rest of their lives. Those anxious moments just waiting in the tunnel for the final signal, everything carefully orchestrated at Wembley. The teams meeting, let me remind you, for the third time in 6 days. Port Vale coming out on top in the two-legged semi-final of the second division playoffs with a late goal from Martin Foyle, who is in the Port Vale lineup, needless to say, yet again today. And outside, the fans wait. Stockport County fans, about 12,000 of them here, we understand. And that's against an average gate of something like 5,000. And here come the teams now. Referee David Ellery there on the right of your picture, the Harrow housemaster. There's John Rudge on the right and Danny Bergara on the left. John Rudge, the long-serving manager of Port Vale. Danny Bergara, one of the real characters of the game, the Stockport manager. Great moments for them. That's Robbie van der Laan with the long hair. And there's Danny Bergara, the man who has taken what is perennially, or used to be anyway, a basement club like Stockport County and taken them now to 3 Wembley appearances in 12 months. He speaks in fractured English, but he's lived in this country for 20 years now. He has an English wife, Danny, and he's really been around as well. Used to play in the Spanish First Division against the likes of Di Stefano and Puskas. Kevin Francis, 6 feet 7 inches, the tallest footballer playing in England. And he's going to be a handful, there's no doubt about it, for Port Vale's defence this afternoon. My co-commentator is Lenny Lawrence, the Middlesbrough manager. Great moments for these players, Lenny. Yeah,
it's still a great occasion for the players to be walking out at Wembley, although there's obviously many more Wembley appearances and finals than there used to be, but still a great moment for the players and for both the managers as well, who've done a terrific job at their respective clubs. Danny Bergara a little bit emotional there as he walked out, but both him and John Rudge have done marvellous jobs at their clubs, and it's a shame one of them's got to be a loser on the day.
Bobby Charlton, one of the most esteemed names still in English football, to be introduced by Stockport County's skipper Peter Ward to the players. 7 of this team played last year in the Autoglass Final. They've almost got a season ticket for the place, some of them, haven't they, Lenny?
Yes, it's got to be an advantage to them, I think, if they've played before, especially in the opening 20 minutes, getting used to the pitch and the atmosphere and the occasion. But these two teams should know each other very well, as they've already played each other twice this week in the playoffs, as well as twice in the normal season.
In the tracksuit there, on the right of the 2 players in the tracksuit, that's David Frayne, who led Stockport out here at Wembley last year, but has a calf injury and not completely match fit. Well, that's Dean Glover, and I must say, personally, it's great to see him here at Wembley for the first time. A man who certainly paid his dues in reserve sides over the years.
He was an ex-Middlesbrough player, Dean Glover, and he was always very popular with the fans at Ayresome Park because of his wholehearted attitude and his commitment, and he's done a similar job at Port Vale, and he's just the sort of player who deserves an occasion like this. Bernie
SLAVEN there, just shaking hands. You'll know him as well, of course. He just transferred into Port Vale.
Another old friend who left us this year and has gone to Port Vale and enjoyed a remarkable finale to his season, what with this appearance at Wembley, another one in 8 or 9 days' time in the playoff final against West Brom.
Musselwhite, the goalkeeper, who's become a regular this season, and John Rudge there, another of the characters of football, the Port Vale manager, who's been with the club for 13 years, the last 10 as manager. He's the 3rd longest serving manager now playing or managing in the league. John Rudge course, needless to say, both of these two clubs are going to have big slap-up banquets tonight with the wives and supporters, some of the supporters anyway, and it's going to be a memorable night for them, although they'd love to celebrate, of course, with a trophy and a win.
Although it's a great occasion. Stockport lost in both the playoff final and this game last year, and so they'll be looking to win something. And for Port Vale, although they've had a marvellous season, they've finished with 89 points in the league, which is a record for not getting an automatic promotion spot, and they could still finish with nothing, although one would hope not.
Well, now we're going to have the national anthem. So as the two teams break off for the pre-match kick around, let's check on the two sides today. First of all, Port Vale, they're again without their stylish midfield playmaker Ray Walker, who's had a cartilage operation, and they make a surprise change. Their first choice central defender, Peter Swan, who needs a groin operation, is brought back into the side after missing the two playoff matches, and that's tough on Peter Billing, the man on loan from Coventry, who drops to substitute. It's a side with plenty of quality, with two proven goal scorers, Bernie SLAVEN, who hit so many goals for Middlesbrough, and Martin Foyle, whose late winner broke Stockport's hearts on Wednesday night. But the biggest threat could come from one of the discoveries of the season, Ian Taylor, playing there at number 11, who's hit 19 goals from midfield after moving from non-league football. Port Vale with 89 points and just missing promotion automatically.
Yeah, that's an amazing statistic that they should get 89 points and not get one of the two automatic spots. And as I say, the danger is for them is that they could lose today, lose the playoff final and finish the season with nothing, which would be unfair and heartbreaking for them. So I'm sure John Rudge will have them wound up to do their absolute best, and hopefully they won't falter now.
It's the Port Vale line-up with Porter just sweeping in front of that back three. They're very, very tight at the back, one of the tightest defences certainly playing in league football at the moment. But what about Stockport County? Their manager Danny Bergara broke his normal routine by telling the players the team yesterday at their Hertfordshire hotel. The great news for them is that Kevin Francis, that skyscraper of a striker who's hit 38 goals this season, he's back from suspension, and that could make a difference for them. With Mike Flynn and Darren Ryan both cup-tied, Stockport bring in defender Alan Finlay and Peter Duffield, who's on loan from Sheffield United. 7 of this team are survivors from last year's final when they lost by the only goal of the match to Stoke City.
Yeah, they've had a great season of ground. Danny Bergara's done a fantastic job there on limited resources. Their team shape is a little bit different. They play with a sweeper, a back four, and Duffield in that position behind the front two.
Okay, we're about to have the toss-up now. Let's go down to Nick Collins on the pitch.
Ian, thanks very much indeed. The two captains, Dean Glover and Peter Warder, here with the referee, David Ellery. David, just before you start, two things. The yellow shirts, what do you think of them?
No comment.
No comment, fair enough. The coin that you're going to be using, is it a lucky one at all?
No, just a normal old 10p piece.
All right, we wish you luck. Off you go.
And we'll stay as we are.
You've won the toss, have you?
Yeah.
And you're staying put?
Staying put, yeah.
Peter, thank you very much indeed. Back to you, Ian.
Thanks very much indeed, Nick. Good-looking crowd at Wembley. They've had some excellent crowds over the years for this particular final. It was nearly 80,000, I seem to remember, the year that Wolves played Burnley. And, of course, 3 playoff matches coming up next weekend. There's Kevin Francis. They're glad to have him back from suspension. 38 goals this season, and Peter Swan's inclusion in the Port Vale team, no coincidence. That's going to be a key clash, Lenny.
Obviously, with that height, and he's got quite a good touch for a big man as well. He's going to be a major threat in the air and also a major threat at set pieces. And obviously, as you say, Peter Swan's recall would have a lot to do with the fact that Kevin Francis returns after suspension. But interesting to see who's going to take the initiative and how things start and what the tempo of the game's going to be, and who tries to get on the attack and who's cautious from the off.
Well, they're certainly two stars in the same orbit, these two clubs. Now, it's weird the way things work out in football sometimes, that these two, having reached this final, should then have met in the playoffs as well. Now, Port Vale going to rub salt into the wounds, or will there be compensation for Stockport County with the Autoglass trophy to take back to the northwest with them tonight? That's cut out by Finlay. Now, here's Van der Laan, the Dutchman in the midfield. This is Taylor, the boy from non-league football.
Superb first half at Wembley in the Autoglass Trophy final, and now it's over to Paul Dempsey and Mark Bright for their views on the game so far.
A lovely day in the sunshine, but only if you're a Port Vale supporter, Mark. So far, match facts will tell the story of Port Vale domination throughout this first half. The key figure, 2-0 they lead, 6 shots to 2, 2-1 on target. Corners 1-2 apiece, interestingly enough. Pretty well matched on free kicks conceded. Port Vale reflecting their attacking domination, perhaps caught offside 4 times to 1. Mark Bright, ex-Port Vale, now very much Sheffield Wednesday, but a soft spot for Vale, Mark. Yeah. And it's going your way completely so far.
Yeah, from a Vale point of view, I mean, they play some excellent football. Be fitting for the final, to be honest. They played it from the back to the front. Every player has been having to touch the ball, they've used it well, and I think they've scored 2 quality goals.
Let's have a quick look back at the goals, shall we, which were collector's items, both of them in their own way. First, Paul Kerr. Talk us through this, Mark.
Yeah, Martin Phil makes a diagonal run across, and Bernie SLAVEN slips him a lovely ball between 2 defenders. It runs nice for him, and he hits it outside the foot. It's a really confident strike.
One of the criticisms you had of the Stockport defending was that they did not push on and create problems for the Vale forwards.
I have to echo what Lenny's saying all along. I think that there's too much space, they're too deep. There's a lot of movement in Port Vale's side. I think the front 2 players have done excellent, not just because I'm striker. I mean, Bernie SLAVEN's having a fantastic game, and so is his co-striker.
To that point, 15 minutes gone, really Vale had set out and dictated terms, hadn't they?
Yeah, I thought right from the first whistle. Van der Laan's getting the ball, he's dictating play, the wide players are pushing on, they're keeping possession, they've got midfield players who are running past forwards, they've got a lot of movement in the side and really good football.
Are you surprised by how Stockport set out to play today?
Yeah, I said if you play long ball on Wembley, you have to get players close to Kevin Francis. He will win 95% of the balls because of his size anyway, he's good in the air, but you need players close to him. I just think from the back to the front they're too far apart.
The longer it went, the more and more likely it seemed that Port Vale would go further in front, and sure enough,
yes.
38 minutes gone, Bernie SLAVEN, who's been scoring goals all his career, all over the country.
Yeah, it's a fantastic goal. He comes short and then he spins off. Martin Foyle drops the ball off to him, takes a nice touch on the thigh and then drives it in. Port Vale seem to have players in the box spare as well. As you can see, I think it's a great touch. I think it was a suggestion of handball, but I don't think so. I think it just came off his thigh.
Maybe from this angle we'll clear that up.
It's good movement from strikers, that. It's good movement. I think just hits him on the thigh, maybe just the bottom chest. He drives it in.
And there's some very half-hearted protest from the Stockport defenders as well.
Yeah. I think they've been dominated, and I think, like Lenny says, he may need to switch it around at half-time.
The only interesting thing is, even though Stockport have been dominated by Vale, they have had a couple of moments where they could have gone in just a goal adrift. Now, even early on, Chris Beaumont, this is an excellent ball out.
Yes, it's a good ball by the left back. I think it goes between the 2 central defenders, and I don't think Glover calls to maybe Peter Swan. He takes a touch. I think he's just trying to commit the goalkeeper, but it's a great recovery from the big Swan, the defender there.
Swan restored to the defence today.
Yes, I mean, it's he watched it go over his head. I don't think he realises that the striker's in there, and this is when the score's 0-0 as well. They could have that's the best chance they've had, really.
Well, you know that feeling, I have to say, because important goals and chances don't come your way all the time at Wembley, and you've got to take advantage of it.
That's right, yeah. I mean, I had a couple the other day and should have took them.
There was another one near the end when Stockport could have engineered something for themselves.
I thought he showed great determination here, Kevin Francis. You know, he gets up off the deck and he shrugs one tackle. He won't give it up, and this only has to fall kindly to one of the Stockport players, but they've got players in the box but just doesn't roll to them, and so it's things like that sometimes that make you wonder if it's not going to be your day.
Well, Danny Bergara's got a big job on in the dressing room right now to change things around for Stockport. Can he bring Stockport back into it? Join us, stay with us for the second half from Wembley Live.
Maybe up for Danny Bergara's side. Priest is in here. And Duffield and Miller almost found a way through, and Billing, the sub, got there. Francis can't get the cross in. Maybe Gannon can he? The game at this moment seeming never-ending, but there goes the whistle to end it, and Port Vale, for the first time in their 117-year history, have won a cup, the Autoglass Trophy. They hope it's the first leg of a double when they come here for the playoff final against West Brom in 8 days' time. It's more heartbreak for Kevin Francis and Stockport County. 3 Wembley defeats on the trot here, but Port Vale deserving it for their stylish first half performance. We'll be back for all the celebrations and the award of the cup. The final score here is Port Vale 2, Stockport 1. Welcome back live to Wembley, where Port Vale have won their first ever cup. The Autoglass Trophy beating Stockport County by 2 goals to 1 in a pretty dramatic match here. Port Vale playing some very, very stylish football in the first half and scoring through Paul Kerr and Bernie SLAVEN. Stockport coming back gutsily in the second half. Kevin Francis making it 2-1 with his 39th goal of the season, but it wasn't quite enough, and these fans are waiting now to see the memorable moment when their side from the Potteries climbs up those famous steps to collect the trophy. Now then, let's hear from the man of the match as elected by Lenny Lawrence's old manager, Bernie SLAVEN. He's with Nick Collins.
Well, Bernie, many congratulations, a worthy man of the match, a terrific performance from Port Vale, especially in that first half.
Yeah, the first half I think we just did enough to win the game. Second half, full credit to Stockport. They came back strong, but we held out, and the lads deserved it.
Your goal, you must have been very pleased with scoring at Wembley.
Yeah, first time ever. I've only played twice, but I scored once, and I was delighted.
Now all you've got to do is come back and do it again next week.
That's right. Next week's a big game for us, and hopefully we can get back in the first division.
All right, we wish you luck. Bernie, thanks very much indeed.
Bernie SLAVEN, but spare a thought for Stockport County. 3 appearances at Wembley in the last 12 months, and they've lost all 3 of them. Bobby Charlton giving them those medals. Peter Ward, the skipper. There's Mike Wallace going through, had a good game. Peter Duffield, Alan Finlay, David Miller, son of Brian Miller, who was in Burnley's championship side and the side that lost to Spurs here. Disappointment written on the faces of the Stockport boys. They'll be meeting up with their wives, girlfriends and families tonight for a banquet at a secret destination, and they've made a day of it, but how they would have loved to have a trophy. And they're getting generous applause too from the Port Vale fans, but those fans now will be going absolutely wild as Port Vale climb the steps for the first time in their history. Great days and a great moment for a really solid pro like Dean Glover, the 29-year-old skipper who spent 6 seasons playing mostly in Aston Villa's reserve side. He was in the Middlesbrough team that got promotion 2 or 3 years back. A £200,000 move to Port Vale. They've made him the skipper now, and he walks forward here to fulfill a footballing fantasy of any player. Walking along to receive here the Autoglass trophy from Bobby Charlton. A wonderful moment in the history of Port Vale Football Club from the city of Stoke. And for John Rudge, the third longest serving manager in the league, behind Joe Royal and Dario Gradi. And his daughter's soon going to be married, would you believe, to a Stoke City fan? I don't believe it. Andy Porter lifting up the trophy, and it's handing along to all the players. Musselwhite, the goalkeeper. Wonderful day for Port Vale. Peter Swan, who came back in the side despite needing the groin operation, he lifts it up. Well, he's never ever going to forget these moments as long as he lives, John Rudge. But he does have the job too of readdressing the players' minds to the even more important job that they face in 8 days' time against West Bromwich Albion, because despite getting a massive 89 points, this team have got to go into a playoff final against West Bromwich Albion, another fine footballing side from that division, and that should be some match. That is one worth watching. Well, they're going to wear hats and scarves and rosettes. And Kevin Francis once again knows the desolation of Wembley defeat. Such conflicting emotions always in these moments at the famous stadium. Musselwhite, the 24-year-old goalkeeper. Peter Billing, who's on loan from Coventry City. Now then, John Rudge, the Port Vale manager, happy man, talking to Nick Collins.
John, many congratulations. Just how good is this winning feeling at Wembley?
Tremendous, tremendous. First time Port Vale's been here, it's been an absolutely magnificent occasion for us.
Was it every bit as good as you hoped it might be?
Not the last 20 minutes. I was sitting on the edge of my seat because the leg seems to have gone. I thought we were in control until then, but when they scored, they put us under a lot of pressure and we had to hang on.
You really did have to dig deep, didn't you, at the end?
Yeah, there's one or two lads' legs had gone. We've got one or two sort of doubts regarding injury-wise, and also lads haven't done a lot of training. Peter Swan's come back and played for the first time for about 3.5 weeks. He did exceptionally well for us against the big fella, but yeah, it was tense towards the end.
You told me at half-time when it was 2-0 that you thought the next goal might be the crucial one, and it very nearly turned out that way, didn't it?
It always is like that. It always is. When you're 2-0 up, you can get the third one, would have killed it off. And we did have one or two occasions where we might have scored again. They came strong and full credit to them.
One last thought, John. I know a few months ago on Sky Sports you read us out a poem. Has today's events given you material for a fresh one, do you think?
Oh, no doubt about that. I'll be looking for one to see if I can make one up before we play next Saturday.
Well, we look forward to hearing from it, John. Thank you very much indeed. Well done.
Thank you.
Who says that nice guys always come second? Not today. Ian Taylor, the young man who'd never been to Wembley before the players took a look round yesterday, not even to watch a match. Today he plays at Wembley. It must seem like a dream to him a year ago, playing for Moor Green in the Beezer Homes League. Port Vale have won the Autoglass Trophy Final at Wembley. Made a fair bit of money as well, over £200,000, and they were in some very lucrative games as well early in the season against their Stoke rivals, Stoke City. They knocked Stoke out of this competition, but Stoke, of course, having their own compensation as worthy champions of Division 2. And really, you know, there's hope for all those teams this year for whom the season has ended in agony and despair, because 12 months can change things quite a lot. A year ago, Port Vale had failed to win in their last 18 games and got relegated, and it's all turned around. There's the two goal scorers, Bernie SLAVEN on the left, Paul Kerr on the right, and two absolutely cracking goals they were too. Beautifully fashioned and taken. Bernie SLAVEN, who really was out in the cold at Middlesbrough, could hardly get a game, and the move to Port Vale has freshened him up, sharpened him up, and he really did have a stormer today at Wembley.
Well, they've never won a trophy before. The Port Vale supporters like this fella here might almost think it's been worth waiting for 117 years.
Yeah, I'm really delighted for the side and for John as well. I think the club have shown great loyalty in him when they got relegated, and I think they've been rewarded with that loyalty.
You came into the game to play for John Rudge, didn't you, Mark?
That's right, yeah. John was my first coach, and he worked hard along with me, and I'm really delighted for him.
It was a lovely moment, I have to say, just before the game started, when John Rudge came over to say hello to Mark.
Yeah.
A past pupil who's excelled himself since, but he's going to be very proud of himself and of this group of players today, isn't he?
Yeah, I felt it was going to be his day. You know, he looks a little bit nervous before the game, but I saw him standing towards the end of the game. They played a lot, quite a few minutes over, but I thought they deserved it.
Isn't it funny how this game turns? Port Vale spent most of February, March and April in an automatic promotion playoff spot. They were looking a good thing for promotion. It went wrong at the last minute. They were probably disappointed to have to go to the playoffs. But now things are looking great again.
Well, I mean, it's been great for the Potteries with Stoke going up and also winning this trophy last year. I automatically thought Port Vale were going to go up, which would have been excellent for the Potteries itself. But they slipped down. They've had to come here. They've won the trophy. Hopefully they can come back in 8 days' time.
And it means so much to the supporters, doesn't it, in Port Vale, in that Staffordshire area, that they can go home tonight with a trophy and say to the Stoke City fans that they meet in the shops or in the pub, whatever you can do, we can do too.
That's right. It's excellent for them. They'll go back, and the Stoke supporters, I don't think they wish Vale any